In some cases, a subtree can get really complicated, while in reality it's not even that important. In that case, it's possible to just let the software check that line down, so that you don't need to bother with the details too much. To check a hand down, there's a special action that's not available in the Quick Select menu itself. However, if you click on the decision node, a dialog will come up, and here you can select the checkdown action. What this will come down to is that a hand is simply checked down, and each player will realize his equity in the pot. The name for this action is checkdown, and it's symbolized in the tree by a purple arrow. If we compute and look at the results here, then the pot is $100 and small blind's equity is 46%. And we also see that small blind's expected value is indeed 46% of the $100 pot, namely $46. Should you want to give a player a bit more or less than his share of the pot, then you can change that by editing the checkdown action and changing the value of this field. The standard value for this field is 100, meaning that small blind will get 100% of his equity in the pot. But if I reduce this to, let's say, 50%, then small blind will now realize only 50% of his equity, and the rest of the money will go to the other player. Let's recompute. And indeed, small blind's expected value is now only 50% of what it was previously. Also, the name of the action has changed to reflect that a percentage is applied to the checkdown. Another method of custom checkdowns is checking down as a fraction of the pot. If I again edit the action, then I can switch to pot mode by selecting the option Off Pot. For example, let's say that we'll give small blind 30% of the pot when he checks down. And compute. And small blind's expected value has now indeed become $30, which is 30% of the $100 pot. If there's uncalled bets at the point where you're trying to check down, then those bets will be returned before the checkdown is initiated. So for example, if small blind were to bet here instead, and big blind were then to check down, then the $20 bet would be returned to small blind before the checkdown was initiated. So if I make a trial run through this branch, which I can do by setting a checkpoint here, and pressing F6 or this button, then we see a hand history of a randomly drawn run that goes through this part of the tree. And in this hand history we see that the $20 bet is returned to small blind before the hand is checked down. If you want big blind to call the bet before checking down, then you should just make him call. And then check down in the next phase.